Hello, is this loud enough? Hello. Okay, I'm just gonna get started. To all Santa Monica College students, faculty and staff and guests in person or watching online, good afternoon. Welcome to the Spring 2026 Associate Student Selection Forum. Thank you for being here, and to everyone online, thank you to all the viewers joining us virtually. For those who may not know me, my name is Katie Easterson, and I am currently serving as the editor-in-chief of The Corsair, the student-run publication for Santa Monica College for the spring semester. Alongside me is my managing editor, Sophia, who will help moderate the forum. The event this afternoon is meant to serve as a platform for students to hear from the candidates running for an elected position and a chance for them to express their concerns and to pose questions. Before we jump in, I'd like to explain the role the Associate Student serves on campus as a reminder for those who may not be aware. The Associate Students Board of Directors is composed of 16 student leaders elected by the SMC student body. They are chosen to represent students to faculty administration, including the Board of Trustees, and to ensure that students are seen and their voices are heard. The Associate Students additionally manages the AS yearly budget and approves AS funds, which primarily come from the student activity fee paid during the enrollment that transfers into their activities and spending. Associate Students is the bridge between student body and the administration, chosen at the hands of the students. To put it simply, you have the opportunity to elect the candidate whom you believe best represents your views and whose campaign will create the ideal representative AS board. Again, AS assures that your voices will be heard. This forum serves as a reminder of the Corsair's commitment to accountability, transparency, and the coverage of our primary audience, the SMC community. All candidates running for leadership roles are invited to speak tonight, regardless of whether they're running opposed or unopposed, and we want to give the student body a chance to get to know their respective leaders. With that being said, I wish every candidate good luck. Sophia will now call the candidates running. Oh wait. Are all the candidates ready? You guys can all introduce yourself briefly. After introductions, each candidate will, after each candidate briefly introduces themselves to the audience, to ensure both fairness and equity, candidates will be given a certain amount of time to speak per question. Each unopposed candidate will be given an allotted time of 3 minutes to respond to the question presented to them. Each unopposed candidate will be given an allotted time of 5 minutes to speak, and Katie will be tracking time for each question. Are the candidates ready? Perfect. I'm going to start from this end going down. We're going to have you all come up, introduce yourself, first and last name, and how you pronounce the piece.
Good morning or good afternoon, or whatever time it is. I haven't taken a look. My name is Massimo Keys. Keys. I am the acting president and vice president of AS, and I'm here to serve you all. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Gabriel Sanchez, and I'm the current AS Director of Student Outreach, current first year at Santa Monica College, and proud political science and public policy student. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Samantha Howdegi. My last name is pronounced Howdegi. I am your current Director of Publicity, and I am rerunning for the same position. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Gregory Hawthorne. I'm running for Director of Activities. I'm a non-traditional student. I'm a journalist with the Corsair, and I just want to see SMC be the best place it can be.
Hello, everyone. My name is Tosh Kalender. My major is computer science, and I'm running for AS Vice President. I hope you vote for me and when you listen to my policies.
Hi, my name is Paula Cortez, and I'm running for your AS president. I'm currently sitting as your director of budget management. Thank you. Hi, everyone. My name is Daria, and I'm running for director of publicity. I'm currently in the city committee in Alpha Gamma Sigma Society. And hi, everyone. My name is Victoria Berger, and I'm running for director of external affairs. Right now, I'm just a student at SMC, but I want to make SMC a better place for you all. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Mohammed.
majoring in environmental studies, and because of this, I'm running for the director of sustainability for the next academic year. Thank you very much.
Great, thank you all. We're going to start with unopposed candidates, and we're going to start off with the presidential candidate, Paula Cortez. Sorry. I have to ask the question. Okay, we'll start. You mentioned in your campaign message that you want to strengthen awareness of programs like Adelante, Law Pathways, and DSP, alongside services like the Wellness Center. What do you think those programs are not doing to connect students as best as they should, and how would you strengthen it?
Thank you. So I do think all these programs do help students, but as you said, other ways for initiatives is to like have students aware before the school starts. So some initiatives we'll be taking with AES is we do have a social media platform. So we'd be working with obviously the director of publicity to talk about these programs. In addition, there are things that happened at Santa Monica College that are more like that are in nature like more private and some issues don't arise correctly. So definitely having a process where if anything ever happens to a student, outlining the process of what can happen as well as giving different resources. These programs are there to help you, but there are also other resources on campus. So definitely talking about like how do you make a CBT report for yourself? Where do you go to like find a therapist and other projects like that.
And then can you name any specific projects you have in mind and what measures are needed for the project to come into fruition?
Okay, so some projects, like I've been telling you about the CPT report in particular, this is really important to me. I believe like there are on occasion sometimes like assaults on campus and so one thing I want to do is like bring in like law firms and connect with other law firms in the community. Even if it isn't an assault, say like there's an incident on campus that you need advice. So partnering to make sure there's some representation and some proper channels that students are aware, as well as assistance that you can get for free or at no cost.
And then again, you did mention wanting better support for students facing adverse situations like assault or just feeling lost on campus. What role can and should AS play in situations often handled by the administration?
So like I said, like the administration does have processes in place. However, some of these processes may not feel like warm to students. So I feel like AS is the role it's supposed to serve to advocate for students' needs. That being said, if something is going wrong or amiss, like for example, maybe you're taking a class and you get accused for plagiarism, you're not supposed to get a 0%. So they should feel like, okay, maybe I don't know where to go. Let me go to AS and we'll work together to advocate for the student. If it is a sexual assault problem and it's not being tackled, then first, like acknowledging if they do come to AS, but at the same time, seeing as that it is a private matter, like having an anonymous place where you can post and then like be able to put in an email that maybe isn't your SMC email when you're just beginning the process to gain awareness. So creating like areas where you can get assistance without needing to put your name out there if you're not ready yet.
At the March 3rd Board of Directors meeting, multiple people during public comment made remarks that the student trustee doesn't accurately represent the wants and needs of the student body. What steps will you take to make sure students feel heard and regain trust in student government?
So March 3rd, the student trustee. So I will be honest, and I can't remember that exact date of the meeting, but I do know that our student trustee does work hard to ensure that all students feel represented on campus. That being said, some steps we'll be taking moving forward is having, like I said, like a Google QR code where students can scan it. We can talk about their problems, and that way we'll have a poll reflecting the needs of students, thereby setting up different ad hoc committees to address each problem.
Thank you very much. And then we are going to be moving on to the Director of Basic Needs. So Annabelle Garcia, is she here? Okay, never mind. Moving on. We have Jacqueline Mendez Campos.
No, okay. Do we have Director of External Affairs, Victoria? Great. Okay, I'm going to start. How would you keep students informed about laws or policies that affect them on campus?
Well, first of all, I will do a really meaningful research on the laws by myself, but I will also create specific events on campus where students can also speak up about their concerns and where I can also provide them with what laws are enforced right now and how to change them together and how I can also try to solve concerns that they have in the moment.
What issue affecting SMC students right now would you most want to bring to a city or state representative and why?
Well, one of the issues I would like to address is probably tuition costs that doesn't help students and they can't study because the tuition costs that are happening right now. They can't join universities and other educational buildings. And I want to meet with officials to try to solve this issue and make the places are more affordable for all of us.
Then you mentioned during your campaign message that you're an immigrant. As an immigrant, how would you help students who feel intimidated by politics feel empowered to participate?
I know it for some students at SMC, it is especially difficult to speak in English. So I'll support them and be their voice outside of college and in college. And I will support them as much as I can do because I know how it's difficult to be an immigrant in the foreign country and college or university.
And then what process would you use to gather students' concerns to bring them to local leaders?
Well, how I said earlier, I will create events where students will speak up and provide their concerns. And I will be the one who will go outside of college and talk to officials and try to solve these issues with them.
Thank you. We are now going to be moving on to our Director of Activities candidate, which would be Gregory. Gregory, you want to shift from activities to community, you said. What would that change look like?
A change or a shift from activities to community would look like, making sure that students are whole outside of just things to do on campus. Finding ways to bring students together to form a greater community, not just socialize.
Many students have voiced concerns about not knowing campus events before they happen. How would you help with the outreach for that?
I would like to introduce a new app that's just SMC events to go alongside with the other apps that SMC already has.
And then can you name a specific event or initiative you'd like to introduce that we don't currently have?
I'm very vocal about being a non-traditional student. I'm 36 years old, so something that I'd like to see is events that are for non-traditional students that happen at times that are convenient for them, not just at nighttime on the weekends.
How would you create events that reach students who don't usually attend campus activities?
Like I said, focusing on maybe the reasons why they don't attend events and seeing how those barriers can be worked around.
We're going to be moving on to the Director of Sustainability candidate. Can you, sorry, Mohammed, great. You've been involved in Eco Action, Bodega, and multiple student organizations. How has those experiences shaped what sustainability means to you personally?
Well, basically, as an international student, I even remember the first day I came to Santa Monica College, and then I know how students feel when they don't know about the resources that they can use here at SMC. So basically, all of my experiences in Bodega, in Eco Action Club, I'm planning already about the steps that I will take in the future as soon as I will be elected, and to make sure that all of the students can come, use AS resources, and plus make our campus more sustainable. So I hope to get this as soon as possible next academic year. Thank you.
And then what is one everyday habit you think SMC students could realistically change? And is there any way you could help them do that?
So basically, about when we were campaigning with my slots, I actually asked a lot of SMC students about the concerns that they are feeling, and most of the concerns that student had was about the way our college is clean, and also about the bathrooms actually. So as soon as I will be elected, I'll make sure to stabilize all these issues.
And then aside from Sustainability Week, how would you collaborate with clubs and departments?
So as a part of the Central Asian Student Association and the vice president of Eco Action Club, as I mentioned in my statement, I have experience of working with clubs, and I will make sure to talk with the representative of the class in the ICC meetings, or just go and participate in their meetings, just to make sure that the clubs that we run here at SMC, they're sustainable, and there's a positive impact of the clubs for the campus of our college.
And then do we have the candidate for student justice, Lloyd Dawes? No. All right, then we will be moving on to the contested positions. Great. Each candidate will get 3 minutes to answer the question. We will be keeping track still. We're gonna start with the AS Vice President candidates. We're going to start with Gabriel Sanchez. Sorry. Okay. You mentioned protecting student resources during institutional uncertainty. What threats do you see to those resources, and how do you think you can help fix them?
Thank you for the question. I think it's something that should be asked more often and the student body should be more aware about. So we was touched on at the beginning that for those who are not aware, the school is currently facing a severe budget cuts, institutional cuts, job cuts. And these jobs these jobs effectively will put in jeopardy everything that we hold dear to Santa Monica College for student resources. So everything from Adelante Center tutors, the EOPS opportunities and disability center tutors, and bodega jobs, student worker jobs. These are all things that are in jeopardy because of the decision of the board of trustees. And it was brought up before the conversation that happened during March at the AS board meeting. And I remember I directly made a comment saying that this did not represent the student voice. So something that I'm very big on for my campaign is empowering students to make them aware that they are aware and they are able to use their voice at any public opportunities. So whether it's our AS board meetings or it's the board of trustees meetings, this is something that they should be aware of and that they should be empowered to and supported to do, most importantly, by the AS governing body. This is something an action that can be taken tangibly, because at the end of the day, these are the resources that you and I all use that are in jeopardy. And though the AS board of directors does not have full authority to control where the budget goes, we do have the opportunity to control what we can control in such a divided time. And that is advocacy and protecting the resources that make us feel safe and that make Santa Monica College so beautiful. Our campus thrives on international students, thrives on people from different religious backgrounds, different ethnicities, and just different upbringings as a whole. I know my fellow candidates bring so many different perspectives to the board, to the potential board next year. And that's what I'm so excited to work and collaborate with. So those are some things that are in danger and in jeopardy, and the actions that should be taken immediately and that I will advocate for if elected vice president next year.
How would you work in AS alongside with people who may disagree with you?
Absolutely. So naturally, in a governing board and board of directors, there's going to be conflict. There's going to be different opinions. But after listening to each one of these candidates, I am so excited for the passion that they bring. It's very clear that no matter our differing opinions on how we should handle things and govern SMC student body as a whole, they all bring passion and different life experiences. For example, our director of external affairs doing her own research and getting up to knowledge and being very up to speed on the political stage. That is so, so important for external affairs. Gregory, our one who's contested for activities, implementing another app alongside the current app standing. That's another initiative that I am so excited to collaborate for. And those are just to name a few. And it's so important as the position of vice president to act as a mediator, essentially, for all of the rest of the directors. President is the face of the student body, and vice president is the partner and the backbone in mediating any conflict before it affects how we make decisions for the rest of the student body. Because quite frankly, if we cannot operate as a body internally and in closed meetings, we cannot put a good face forward to the public and we cannot best serve the public, which is you guys. So as a role as vice president, I would move forward with, I would move forward as the mediator of the board of directors and with a positive and just fostering a positive environment before it affects decisions that best serve you guys, that will directly serve you guys. Thank you.
And then you did say that you would like to put students first. What does putting students first look like when budgets or policies limit what can be done?
Absolutely. So putting students first, oftentimes it can take many forms. However, for me, what ultimately comes to mind is looking and making sure that the students that are oftentimes most marginalized and oftentimes most overlooked, making them as aware that they are just as seen as any other students or student group social circles. So for example, we have a beautiful cosmetology department with a bunch of talented students. They don't get the recognition they deserve on campus. The other smaller clubs, chess clubs, all of that, the computer science club, these are clubs that often, those are just to name a few, that become overlooked. So something that I would immediately take action for as president is not waiting for them to come to student leadership. It would be going to them directly in times when they want to feel supported, but also in times when they don't need adequate support from the board, but still making an effort to go to them, making sure that their needs are met at every meeting, at every special program meeting, whether it's Adelante, Black Collegians, or disabilities, to name a few. Oftentimes, these students, we say we have a place here for them on campus, but action is not taken. So to have a governing face in a high position such as the vice president visiting these student circles is so, so, so important to making them feel seen and then directly taking it back to the board of directors. And then lastly, something that I would utilize immediately if elected would be direct student forums direct student forums and town halls with the rest of the directors. So they get live face-to-face in-person meetings and questions answered on the spot. As well as I would have a Google form open as vice president that only I have access to, and that I will respond directly to anyone that has any concerns or questions or comments with how things are being run at Santa Monica College. So you will rest assured that I'm the one responding personally, and I will respond publicly as well. And that's something that I promise to uphold if elected as vice president, to make everyone feel included.
That was a great speech.
Thank you. Now we'll be moving on to our next candidate for AS Vice President, Tosh. In your campaign message, you emphasized extended library hours and more campus events. What steps would you take to make that happen, and who would you like to work alongside?
Mostly, it's a great question. I'd love to work with my fellow directors, and as soon as I'm elected, I would roll out a petition to sign up for at least 300 signatures so we could extend the library hours even on weekends, because I've seen at least 50 students who are coming to the library and for new residents who are like, hey, yeah, the library closed, I didn't know, and I felt for that. And that's one of my initiatives to make the library hours extended, like the welcome center that's open until 10 p.m. We're gonna work hard to make the library. To be honest, it's a bit depressing right now. And one of my initiatives is to make it more aesthetic, so you won't feel more depressive and you can actually focus and get your A's.
And then how do you plan to work accordingly alongside the future president of Associated Students?
Currently, I serve as the AS primary commissioner for ICC Vice Chair. So I have been the
kind of a delegate for most of the clubs, and since the current the person who's running for future presidency is director of budget management, I have worked like on several proposals, like replacing the mics and even making a tracker for clubs. So when they submit their proposal, it automatically checks, and if they miss anything, it will guide them like what's wrong. So that's one of my initiatives to work with the president.
Then again, in your campaign message, you said that you've personally used many SMC resources, including after being on academic probation. How do you think you can ensure that new students learn about these resources earlier?
So one of my policies is to roll out digital advertisement boards throughout not just main campus and other core campuses. So students are well informed of the resources, and there will be a website that will be connected to the current SMC website. And when students enroll and when they have to do the SMC orientation, I will be there and I'll represent SMC and let them know all the resources that they have. And since I'm done with most of my courses to transfer, I'm available like from 7:30 to almost 8 p.m. on campus. So I'll be happy to assist anyone come in person or Zoom. Welcome.
So the last question here, how would you work alongside in AS with people who disagree with you?
In any student government or any government, there will be disagreements, but it's not about us anymore. Like Martin Luther King said, he have a dream, I have a dream, but it's not about me anymore. It's us. We have a dream. So I work with all directors, doesn't matter the conflict, we can resolve it because we're humans in a civilized society and we can get through any hurdle that can place on us.
Thank you very much. Now we are going to be moving on to the Director of Budget Management candidates. I believe there is only one here, which would be Massimo. How would you make funding more efficient for clubs and student ideas?
Well, I'd like to start off by commending my opponent, Takara. I wish he was here, and I'm very sorry that you're not able to defend yourself. I don't think that's fair. What was the question again?
How would you make funding more efficient for clubs and student ideas?
Well, for starters, I feel as though we need to streamline the process. I'm currently in the progress of trying to make it more streamlined, more accessible, so they can watch videos and understand the process and what the proposal is from beginning to end. If I'm not able to accomplish that this semester, I will continue to go doing that if I am elected. But I also feel like transparency is of the utmost importance. That's what I'm trying to usher in as vice president, and I will continue to do so if I was the director of budget management. And we can't work with what we don't know, and I feel like making that more publicly available would be a step forward.
What challenges in the current system do you think most students don't see?
There's a lot of issues that students don't see. They don't even know their rights. They don't know where to go to. They don't know how to properly ask for funding. They simply don't know. So you don't know what you don't know. There's a lot of issues with that. So.
And then what would be your first change to the budget process?
Just to streamline it, that's pretty much it. I'm sorry, I really don't feel like I don't think it's comfortable to debate without my opponent, so.
Thank you. All right, then we'll be moving on to the Director of Publicity category. We'll start off with Samantha. We have Samantha? Perfect. Why do you think students are currently missing information about events and resources?
I think that our Instagram page and the social media platforms that we allow students or give students to use aren't being as like they're not out there enough for students to know what's going on because the information is definitely being shared. I myself run the SMC Go app. I'm one of the main directors. I personally make all the messages that you guys receive on your phones. So it's all just all we need is just people to know that it's there. Thank you.
What platforms would you prioritize to reach the most students, and how would you reach students who don't use social media often?
Okay, so obviously Instagram is one of the more popular apps that basically everyone has now, if not Facebook. Our AS Instagram page is connected to Facebook, so everything we post on Instagram gets cross-posted onto Facebook. And I try to also share most of what I share on our AS page onto the SMC Go app. But around campus, we do have associated student boards where we often post the physical flyers on there so students can walk by and see them. I previously worked with our AS president, Aisa, and I was her primary commissioner last fall. And I would help her. And I personally think that it's more, it publicizing physical flyers works better when they're in the most random spaces. I would go around putting posters on benches on the floor. I don't know if some of you guys have seen those on the roof of elevators. So if you look up, but that's some of the strategies I plan to keep on using in order to bring our resources to light. I have only been on the board since spring, so I haven't had the time or enough term time to better use my strategy. So I hope that if I am elected for next year, I will um, use those. Thank you.
And then do we have our other candidate, Daria, here? Perfect. What would you change about how students receive information on campus?
Thank you for the question. I would definitely want to improve the communication between government and students. And I would definitely create some surveys asking our students questions about what they want to see on the campus, what they want to improve. Maybe they want more events, or maybe they want to improve our social media's accounts. Also, I would definitely improve other social medias like TikTok or maybe Twitter or other social medias, because I already saw the Instagram page and I really liked it, but I think that being a director of publicity is such a creative position that you need to know what you're posting about. And yeah, thank you.
And then how would some of those services come to be? And then how would you specifically improve them?
Thank you for the question. Like I said, I would definitely create some surveys asking students about what they want to see and what they want to improve. So I would definitely just check every single survey, and I would definitely respond to every single student to just communicate with them, because I really think that communication is the key. And especially between the government and students, it's really important that we can hear each other. And as a director of publicity, I really want to make our communication better. And yes, thank you.
Last one here.
What would you change about how students, sorry, I said that. What's the mean for publicity to listen and respond to students?
I think it is really important to listen to what students want to see and actually do some actions, because I feel like sometimes students, they really want to be heard, but it doesn't really happen that much. And I just really think that, like, if you communicate with each other, like if students, they share their opinions and they whatever they want, I think it would be better for us to work with them. And also, I would also like to work with Vice President Tosh and Director of External Affairs Victoria, because I already heard some ideas that they wanted to make like during the semester and the next year. And yes, thank you.
And then we are going to circle back. We have our other candidate for the Director of Budget Management, Takara. Hello. Great. SMC is facing a structural deficit right now for the budget of $17.4 million. How would you advocate for students' needs and priorities with college leadership when financial limitations can restrict what can be funded or expanded?
Okay. A little nervous here, I'm not gonna lie. Don't like the mic. But first and foremost, our voices can always be heard at the Board of Trustees meetings. So being present at those, especially when it's affecting our students directly, especially for positions like Thomas and Vanan, for people standing in the back, they're on the list and they personally and directly impact the students. So just advocating for them by utilizing the voices we do have, encouraging students to come to the meetings or attending them myself, or everybody who's here today, because there's one today. There's a Board of Trustees meeting today, I heard. So it's a great opportunity to speak up.
In your campaign message, you said the funding process can be confusing. What exactly makes it confusing? How would you fix it?
Well, I think the timing of it all makes it really confusing. I think the first couple of times I did the proposal, I found it really ridiculous that if I submitted something on a Monday, I couldn't attend the finance meeting on Wednesday. I had to wait the following Wednesday, and then I had to go to one more meeting on a Monday. And just trying to schedule, the time to be there is really frustrating. And how can we better explain that? How can we better streamline that? I'm thinking maybe doing workshops or expanding office hours where they can see me in person outside of my office in the AS area. To know that I'm really here for the students, because if you see somebody outside and available, you're more inclined to get the help, or if they wave and smile, maybe we can get more proposals, make it easier to explain.
And then what would be your first change to the budget process?
That's a pretty difficult process or answer or question. I'm not too sure, since it's very systematic and it's kind of an uphill battle on what has already been designed, and it's not really easy to move. But what I can do is be available for the students, accessible, and try to find better ways to explain it, or even just helping them through the process itself. Like, what is the event they want to do? Just talking to them about the activity, and then, sitting side by side, like if I was a tutor.
I'm just going to go back to Massimo here. Sorry to put you on the spot. I'm just going to ask you the same question from before. SMC is facing a structural deficit of $17.4 million for the 2026-27 school year. How would you advocate for students' needs and priorities with college leadership when financial limitations may restrict what can be funded or expanded?
No worries about putting me on the spot. I am much more lively now that I have competition. Well, one of the ways that AS can improve is that we need to start bringing more money. We need ads, we need cafeteria, fast food, whatever it is, we need to increase our revenue. And we're managing currently a $2 million budget. We need to actively use it. Ideally, I'd like for us to one day be able to bring enough revenue for us to offer our own grants. It's clear that the SMC Board of Trustees, they have their own issues. So we can't be dependent upon them, nor should we be able to be dependent upon taxpayers. We need to bring our own revenue and be self-sufficient. So that would be my way. And one of those ways to also piggyback off of Takara, we have to make ourselves known in front of them. And we have to fiercely defend our positions. Otherwise, who else will? And the students rely upon us to do that. Thank you.
That concludes the Q&A portion of the forum. Thank you to all the candidates. Now we'll be wrapping this up.
Thank you to all the candidates who attended and answered all of our questions. We really appreciate your presence here. I think that's all for Sophia and I. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for attending.